Chapter 537. Tang Jing gently waved his hand and the 9 revolving pill furnace flew out of his sumeru bag and steadily landed on top of the mountain peak. The 9 revolving pill furnace was a mysterious grade magic treasure and it emitted a mysterious aura in the night. He had already prepared the medicinal ingredients and placed them into the cauldron. Then he focused his mind and calmed his breathing as he circulated the ancient clear heaven scroll. A second grade true fire emerged from his fingertips. The purple flame appeared somewhat enchanting in the night sky. It danced with the wind like a flame spirit dancing on his fingertips. Now his control over the true fire was very good. Although the true fire had only reached the second grade realm, it was enough for normal alchemy. Looking at the flame on his fingertips, his heart was moved. Since he had enough flood dragon blood essence, he could refine a large amount of dragon origin pills. Not only for himself but also for the people around him. Because the enemy was getting stronger, in addition to arming himself, he also had to arm others. In the future he would have to refine pills frequently. The 9 revolving pill furnace and the true fire were especially important as both of them had to be upgraded. The 9 revolving pill furnace was originally an earth-grade magic treasure and was a rare alchemy treasure. Now that it had been restored to the mysterious grade, it was only a step away from its peak state. I must find a way to upgrade it. Tang Jing made up his mind. In addition, the true fire in his body was a second-grade true fire. There were a total of 6th-grade true fires, so his true fire was still weak and there was still a lot of room for improvement. However, this was not something that could be improved just because he said so. He still had to carefully ponder over it. He calmed himself down and with a flick of his finger, the second-grade true fire flew into the 9 revolving alchemy furnace and enveloped the herbs, burning and tumbling them. He continuously formed seals and one by one he sent them into the 9 revolving pill furnace. The aura of heaven and earth suddenly changed and the spiritual qi in the air was sucked into the furnace. Tang Jing was slightly surprised. Looking at the chaotic aura of heaven and earth, he muttered to himself, "The spiritual qi of this ordinary balanced mountain peak is much richer than before. What is going on?" He frowned. A change in spiritual qi was not a simple matter. There must be a reason for it. Suddenly he thought of something. Could it be because of the Tree of Life? Linger had once said that the Tree of Life could improve the air quality and replenish the thin spirit qi. Could this be the result of the Tree of Life's transformation? He felt that it was somewhat inconceivable. One had to know that the Tree of Life had only appeared for a few days, and it had already improved the spirit qi of heaven and earth so quickly. He had no choice but to re-evaluate the Tree of Life. This towering tree was far more miraculous than he had imagined. The Tree of Life contains such powerful spiritual energy. If I cultivate under the tree, I will be able to achieve twice the result with half the effort. When he thought of this, he couldn't help but feel a rush of excitement. This was truly too tempting. No cultivator would be able to resist this kind of heaven-defying temptation, and Tang Jing was no exception. I must go there after the new year to see if I can gain anything. He secretly made up his mind. A large amount of spiritual energy was sucked into the 9 revolving alchemy furnace. Once the second-grade true fire came in contact with the spiritual energy, it burned even more vigorously and illuminated the interior of the furnace with a sparkling purple light. Time passed little by little. The medicinal properties of the herbs were extracted and turned into a large liquid ball. It was wrapped by the true fire and was constantly rolling. The impurities in the medicinal dregs turned into gas and soared into the air before dissipating with the wind. Flood dragon blood. Tang Jing shouted. A mass of flood dragon blood wrapped in true qi flew out from his sumeru bag and was directly thrown into the 9 revolving alchemy furnace. Boom! It was as if the flame had encountered an accelerant. It soared into the sky, turning the entire mountain peak purple. The 9 revolving alchemy furnace also began to rapidly revolve. In the end, a vortex formed above the alchemy furnace. The spiritual energy of the world was rapidly sucked in, and a strange fragrance began to spread out from the furnace. As the sky gradually brightened, the furnace stopped rotating. The thin layer of snow on the mountain peak had completely melted. The grass and trees were nourished and glowed with vitality. 15 Dragon Origin Dawn. Looking at the golden pills in the furnace, Tang Jing was overjoyed. Last time he used the 5-clawed golden dragon blood to refine 10 Dragon Origin Dawn. This time there were 15 Dragon Origin Dawn, 5 more than last time. Regarding this he was not surprised. The Dragon Origin Dawn refined by the 5-clawed golden dragon were too overbearing, so he could only refine 10. But this time he was able to refine 15 Dragon Origin Dawn. These were the true Dragon Origin Dawn that could be directly consumed. It was not like before where he could only consume them under certain circumstances. Otherwise, there would be a danger of his body exploding. He carefully put away the dragon origin dawn and floated down the mountain. His speed was very fast and soon he arrived in front of the ordinary balance courtyard. The ordinary balance courtyard was currently being decorated to add a festive atmosphere. Lin, who had once said that before the holidays the ordinary balance courtyard would earn a lot of money. Even the spring festival was no exception. This was because many people liked to invite guests to the ordinary balance courtyard. This place represented a kind of class and could increase the host's face. Although the ordinary balance courtyard was filthy, it had a good reputation among the upper echelons. Many people even brought their families here to enjoy themselves. It could almost satisfy the needs of customers of all ages. Looking at the busy ordinary balance courtyard, Tang Zheng's eyes flashed with a cold light. He sneered, "I'll let this place be glorious for a few more days. After the spring festival I'll come back to clean up this mess. Song Yu, you secretly made things difficult for me, so I won't let you have an easy time. I'll start with the ordinary balance courtyard." On the 29th of December, every household was busy. Tang Zheng was no exception. He put up spring festival couplets and cleaned up. He was extremely busy. This was the first time that Ling Er had experienced such things. She was so excited that her face was red. She was busy here and there. Everything was new to her. If only Nana was here. She would definitely be very happy to see so many fun things. Ling Er said with some disappointment. In the past few days she had met with Nan Nan. These two girls seemed to have a tacit understanding of each other and were able to get along very well. There were many times when they would get together and play together. There was no need to mention how happy they were. Therefore, when Ling Er saw so many novel things, she thought of her good friend. Although Ling Er was physically mature, she was inexperienced. Her mind was not mature. She was equivalent to a 10-year-old child. Hearing her mention this, Tang Zheng's head slightly moved. Mu Hongyan and Nana were alone in the ordinary balance courtyard. When the spring festival came, it would be very lonely. Anyway, the spring festival was lively. He might as well call them home and have a happy spring festival together. When Tang Zheng proposed this to his grandfather supported it with both hands. When people were old, they wanted to have fun. Tang Zheng immediately contacted Mu Hongyan. The phone rang a few times before the other party picked up. "Tang Zheng, what's the matter?" "Sister Mu, what are you busy with?" "I'm still refining various business plans. These things will be needed after the spring festival. They can't be delayed." Mu Hongyan said seriously. Tang Zheng was shocked and asked, "You're still working?" Mu Hongyan was a free person. Tang Zheng left everything to her to manage. He did not expect her to work so hard. It was already the 29th of December and she was still working. "I'm at home," Mu Hongyan said with a smile. "It's the spring festival. Aren't you going to accompany Nana?" "She's playing by herself." "It's fine." "Then how are you going to celebrate the spring festival?" "I'm not prepared." Mu Hongyan told the truth. In the past, she had always spent the spring festival in the Long family. It was very lively, so she did not need to worry about these things. "Sister Mu, don't work anymore. Today your first task is to accompany Nana and go shopping for clothes or other things. You should at least take a break at the end of the year. Tomorrow you guys come to my house early to reunite and have New Year's Eve dinner together." Tang Zheng said without hesitation. "There's no need." "There's a need. Sister Mu, I'm the boss. This is my order. You have to follow it, understand?" Tang Zheng took out the posture of a boss and said firmly. Mu Hongyan laughed involuntarily. "Don't all bosses want their employees to work hard? Where would you encourage your employees to be lazy? Let's strike a balance between work and rest. Now that you're tired, who will work for me in the future? I'm thinking far ahead. I'm serious, don't work today. The spring festival is too important for children. Don't neglect Nana." Tang Zheng said earnestly. Mu Hongyan turned her head and looked at her daughter who was playing alone. Her heart softened and she said, "All right, I won't be polite with you. Tomorrow I'll bring Nana to your house." There were guests coming, so Tang Zheng specially went to prepare children's toys and snacks. After being so busy, the sky turned dark. The few of them tidied up and fell asleep, conserving their energy for tomorrow's spring festival. As night fell, a gust of cold wind suddenly blew in from the window. Immediately the room became even darker. It was as thick as ink. On the bed, Tang Dahai was lying quietly. His breathing was even and steady. It was obvious that he was sleeping soundly. Two shadows suddenly appeared in the darkness. These two shadows merged into one with the darkness. It was almost impossible to distinguish them from each other. The black shadow floated to the front of the bed and stared at the sleeping Tang Dahai with wide eyes. Is it him? Suddenly one of the black shadows asked. The other black shadow nodded. It's him. The first person who increased his lifespan was him. The source of the problem must be him. Then should we detain his soul and interrogate it? The Ghost King ordered us to get to the bottom of this. If we can't find anything, then us two brothers will suffer. So we can't care too much and detain his soul for interrogation. Humph, a person can lie when they are alive, but a soul can't lie. We'll know once we ask. But I'm afraid his lifespan will be damaged. His lifespan was already at its end. I don't know what method he used to extend his lifespan by so much, but he even gained 10 more years of lifespan. How preposterous. Even if something really happens to him, he deserves it. He only has himself to blame. The higher-ups won't blame us, right? What's there to be afraid of? When we return his soul, he won't die. Us two brothers can still guarantee that he will live for another 10 years. Humph, but these 10 years I'm afraid he will be seriously ill in bed like a living dead. But as long as he doesn't die, no one will pursue us. Chapter 538. The two shadows reached a consensus. One of them took out a bell and shook it. However, the bell didn't make any sound on purpose. However, a mysterious aura spread out and enveloped Tang Dahai. A shadow slowly floated up from his body as if it was about to leave. Bang! Suddenly, with a muffled sound, the door was fiercely pushed open. Tang Jing stood at the door and angrily shouted, "Stop!" The two shadows were shocked and hurriedly stopped. The shadow on Tang Dahai's body returned to his body and merged with him. Tang Jing's heart jumped. If he was late, his grandfather would have been killed by these two guys. Fortunately, he was sleeping in the living room, which was very close to his grandfather's bedroom. When he heard a little movement, he rushed in. "Ah, he can see us," cried the black shadow in panic. "Of course he can see. What are you?" Tang Jing did not ask who they were but what they were. This was because he had already determined that they were not human. The yin qi on their body was very dense and was quite rare. If Huang Xiang or War Spirit were here, they would definitely like this dense yin qi. After Huang Xiang returned to the ordinary balance, he was placed in a special place by Tang Jing. War Spirit and the two shooting sun arrows were still in the hands of the martial organization sect master. The shadow looked at Tang Jing in disbelief and asked, "Who are you? How can you see us?" "You just wanted to hurt my grandfather, right?" Tang Jing asked sternly. One of the shadows had an idea and shouted, "I know, he is a cultivator. He is not a cultivator of this world. He has been expelled. How can there still be?" Seeing that the other party did not answer, Tang Jing's face turned ashen. With such a big movement, the old man did not wake up. Then there must be a problem. In addition, Tang Jing gradually smelled a familiar aura from the other party. It was the aura of the ghost realm. He had dealt with the ghost realm visitors several times. He was even chased by a ghost general. But the yin qi on the two was obviously stronger. If he really was a guest from the ghost realm, then he must be in existence more powerful than the ghost general. The ghost realm suddenly came here, which meant that something must have gone wrong, and it was related to his grandfather's safety. If he didn't get to the bottom of this, Tang Jing wouldn't be able to sleep. "Since you don't want to talk, I'll capture you and slowly interrogate you," Tang Jing said sternly. His figure flashed and pounced on the other party. The other party was enraged and roared, "How dare you, a little xianxia dares to oppose our ghost marshal? Today we'll make your soul scatter." Ghost marshal. Tang Jing remembered this term. Since they were ghost marshals, they were definitely stronger than ghost generals. Facing two ghost marshals, he didn't know if he had the confidence to win. Furthermore, this was a residential area, so many divine abilities could not be used, such as the heaven-shocking bow and the sun-shooting arrows. If they were to be used, then this building would be almost destroyed. Therefore, Tang Jing used his hand as a sword and quickly thrust it out. Before the first move was over, the second move was up, and the third move was dazzling, as if there really was a sharp sword in front of his eyes that was attacking him. The ghost marshal was not a fake either. He could tell with a single glance that Tang Jing was not an ordinary cultivator. He was extremely powerful. The two of them shouted at the same time, "How dare you!" Two black lights soared into the sky, directly meeting Tang Jing's attack. The two sides immediately began to fight, flashing and moving about in this small space. The furniture was destroyed one after another and the ground was in a mess. In the end, only the bed that Tang Dahai was sleeping on was intact. In order to protect his grandfather from being implicated, Tang Jing's strength was reduced by a few points, and it was hard to tell who would win. For a moment, no one could do anything to the other. Since such a powerful cultivator has appeared by this old man's side, then perhaps the matter of extending his lifespan is related to him, or perhaps he knows the details. Once we capture him, we can report to the Ghost King. A ghost marshal said excitedly, as if he had discovered a new continent. That makes sense. In order to avoid any trouble, we have to take him down quickly. The other agreed readily. The two of them looked at each other, and as if they had a tacit understanding, they suddenly sped up. In the blink of an eye, the room was filled with gusts of cold wind, as if they were in a ghost realm. The cold wind roared angrily, as if there were thousands of vengeful spirits coming to claim their lives. If it was an ordinary person, they would have been scared out of their wits by this scene, but Tang Zheng was filled with killing intent. He was completely unaffected by the yin qi and started to attack. Suddenly, a strong gust of cold wind blew, and a green face and fanged ghost head bit towards Tang Zheng's head. Tang Zheng's finger poked upwards, hitting the ghost head, and the ghost head exploded, turning into balls of black light. However, before Tang Zheng could heave a sigh of relief, a biting cold wind blew from all directions, and 8 ghost heads attacked Tang Zheng at the same time. There were green-faced and fanged ghost heads in front of him, and they were extremely terrifying. Tang Zheng stabilized his mind with a thought. He took out the dragon-trapped rope. Although he was unable to use the heaven-shocking bow, the dragon-trapped rope was still useful. With a shake of his arm, the dragon-trapped rope drew a circle and wrapped around the 2 ghost heads in front of him. With a sudden force, the ghost heads exploded. The other 6 ghost heads had already arrived behind Tang Zheng, their eyes emitting a green light, as if they would immediately bite off a piece of flesh from Tang Zheng's body. "Master, what happened?" Suddenly Linger walked to the door and turned on the light switch. The room immediately lit up. When she saw this scene, she immediately covered her mouth in shock and almost screamed. She shouted in panic, "Who are you? I won't allow you to hurt Master." As he spoke, he rushed towards a ghost head. As if the ghost head had a mind of its own, it changed its direction and directly bit her body. "Be careful." Tang Zheng shouted in shock. This ghost head was not simple, it was condensed from yin qi and evil qi. If it was bitten, then these qi would enter the meridians and cause great harm to the human body. Linger pouted, her pink face was fiendish. She was not afraid at all. Instead, she rushed forward a few steps and said angrily, "You are not allowed to hurt Master." Just as the ghost head was about to touch Linger's skin, suddenly, a green light was emitted from her body. When the ghost head touched the green light, it immediately disappeared into thin air. Seeing that Linger was safe and sound, Tang Zheng finally heaved a sigh of relief. In fact, ever since Linger had transformed into a human, he had never asked about Linger's strength. This time, seeing that the ghost head could not gain any advantage in front of Linger, he secretly guessed that although Linger was innocent, her instincts were not weak. Taking advantage of this gap, the dragon-trapping rope was like a nimble dragon, constantly churning. In an instant, the remaining 5 ghost heads were eliminated. "Linger, take Grandpa out, protect Grandpa," Tang Zheng anxiously ordered. "Master, Linger wants to protect you." Linger volunteered. "They can't hurt me, Linger, your task is to protect Grandpa." Linger pouted. She seemed to be distressed and regretful that she could not protect Grandpa, but she did not object. She supported the unconscious Tang Dehai and stepped out of the house. "Xianxia, do you need my help?" Gui Qiansui also staggered to the door, but Xiaobai was lying on its back, too lazy to move. It raised its head and looked at the 2 ghost commanders, as if it had no interest, and lazily lay down again. Since absorbing the magma in the cave, Xiaobai had turned into a ball, inconvenient to move, and also became lazy. Finally, after discovering Gui Qiansui, this free mobility tool, it did not even need to walk, and spent most of its time lying on Gui Qiansui's back, letting it carry it. Regarding the little guy's mischievous appearance, Tang Zheng had no choice but to let it do as it pleased. At this moment, seeing its dull appearance, which was completely different from its previous aggressive temperament, he could not help but find it funny. "You all step back, protect Grandpa and Linger, I can deal with the 2 of them alone." After a period of fighting, Tang Zheng gradually figured out the strength of the other side. These 2's fighting strength was indeed higher than the Ghost General's, but after Tang Zheng had the help of the dragon-trapping rope, it was obviously impossible for the other side to escape. The 2 ghost commanders also saw this point, so their expression became nervous. The 2 looked at each other and nodded, as if they had reached some kind of tacit understanding. Then one of them took the lead to rush towards Tang Zheng, and with a wave of his hand, several ghost heads flew in front of him towards Tang Zheng. The other one took out a token. The token flashed with a black light, and the air fluctuated violently. "Kacha, it was as if the space was torn apart, and a black door suddenly appeared. There was not a trace of light behind the door. It was as dark as ink and it was impossible to see what was behind the door. However, a dense yin qi drifted out from behind the door, causing people's hearts to tremble violently. Tang Jing recognized the door at a glance and exclaimed, "Ghost Gate." Seeing that Tang Jing recognized the Ghost Gate, the two ghost commanders' eyelids twitched. The average person did not have such knowledge, so they were certain that the increase in lifespan was definitely related to this cultivator, so they could capture him and report back. Want to escape? No way. Of course, Tang Jing could not let these two escape, otherwise what would happen if the ghost realm sent more powerful experts? Moreover, he still had not figured out what was going on. Why would the ghost commanders come to find Grandpa? Didn't Grandpa still have 10 years of lifespan? Now was not the time to reap souls, and it was even more impossible to let these two ghost commanders become soul reapers. There was something fishy about all of this. With a wave of his hand, the dragon-trapping rope shot down several ghost heads, and Tang Jing leaped, attacking the ghost commander near the ghost gate. He had to tie him down and prevent him from escaping back to the ghost realm. If that happened, it would be harder than ascending to the heavens to pursue him. The ghost commander seemed to be scared silly. Seeing Tang Jing attack, he stood motionless in place as if waiting for Tang Jing to attack. With a wave of the dragon-trapping rope, it immediately wrapped around the opponent, but the ghost commander rushed towards Tang Jing, opening his arms and hugging Tang Jing's waist. Tang Jing felt a chill in his heart. What was going on? Before he could understand, he felt his back tighten. The other ghost commander had also pounced over, hugging him with both hands, one in front and one behind. The two of them were like drowning people grabbing onto a life-saving straw, not letting go no matter what. Then, carrying Tang Jing, they flew into the ghost gate. Chapter 539. There was darkness in front of him, but soon, a ray of light entered his eyes. Tang Jing could finally see his surroundings clearly. This was another world. It was incomparably dark and the sky was also dark. This was definitely not the night but another world. The dense yin qi reminded Tang Jing that this was the ghost realm. This was the final resting place of the dead, and definitely not a place where a living person like him should go. The yin qi was like little worms that devoured his life, trying to drill into his body and kill him. He felt a chill in his heart and subconsciously circulated the ancient scroll of Tong Tian. The warm true qi flowed through his 8 extraordinary meridians and drove away the yin qi that wanted to invade his territory. His waist loosened and the two ghost commanders jumped back, eerily laughing. No matter where you come from, coming to the ghost realm means that you're already dead. Hey, now you're at our mercy. Tang Jing shivered and said, "I'm standing in front of you alive. How am I dead?" "You're not dead right now, but you will be very soon. The ghost realm is a place where ghosts come from. You brought your body here, and it won't be long before the yin qi corrodes your body, tormenting you to death. Then we'll capture your ghost and report back." "Ha! Report back? What report back?" Tang Jing did not understand the other's intentions, but since they were so confident, he might as well get some information out of them. The two ghost commanders clearly relaxed their vigilance and proudly said, "There's no harm in telling you now. Many people in the human world suddenly have 10 more years of life. Of course we have to investigate thoroughly. In the end, we found that the source was actually that old man, so we speculated that this matter was definitely related to him. Haha, we're really too smart guessing, right? I'm afraid the culprit behind all this is you, right?" Tang Jing's eyelids jumped, and he finally understood what was going on. The problem was with the life-continuing pill. Although Tang Jing did not know much about the ghost realm, from Tianquanzi's words, he roughly understood that the ghost realm was another world that specialized in managing ghosts after death. As for the specific situation of the ghost realm, Tianquanzi was not clear about it, because he also knew little about this strange world. Most of what he knew was from the seniors in the sect. When the ghost realm discovered that many people had suddenly gained 10 years of lifespan, they would definitely investigate and intervene. Tang Dehai, the first person who had his lifespan extended, became the primary target of investigation. Tang Jing couldn't help but feel a little regretful. The ghost realm was only investigating this matter now because there was a sudden increase in the number of people who had their lifespans extended recently. Otherwise, they would have come to investigate long ago. This was definitely related to him auctioning off the life-continuing pills. Some of those life-continuing pills must have already been consumed by others and had the effect of prolonging their lifespan. The ghost realm had discovered that there was an increase in the number of life-prolonging pills, so they started to investigate. If Tang Jing did not sell this batch of life-prolonging pills, the ghost realm would not have paid so much attention to this matter. Although the life-continuing pill is a good thing, it seems that it also has side effects. Attracting the ghost realm's investigation or pursuit for money is not a good thing. In the future, I can't wantonly refine the life-continuing pills. That would cause complete chaos and also bring me unnecessary trouble. Tang Jing silently made up his mind. Seeing that Tang Jing was silent, the two ghost commanders sneered, "Looking at your reaction, this matter was definitely done by you. We are very curious as to how you did it." Tang Jing coldly snorted and said, "It's none of your business. This is related to the survival of the ghost realm, how can we not care?" The ghost commander angrily roared. "The survival of the ghost realm? You should have heard of reincarnation, right?" Tang Jing nodded. This was Wuxia's oldest legend, but many people were skeptical because it was too mysterious. It seems that this was not an illusion but a real thing. Hee, foolish human, it seems that you do not know the details. That's fine, the xianxia will still take some time, so we will tell you. After all, you will know after you die. The ghost commander proudly said. Tang Jing felt that there was nothing wrong with his body. Only then did he suppress the fear in his heart and listen to the other party show off. If he missed this opportunity, it would not be easy to hear these secrets again. The ghost realm is the same as the human realm. It is just another world with a different set of operating laws. When a person's life is up, they will die and their soul will leave their body and enter the ghost realm. After a period of time, these souls will be reincarnated and enter the human realm to become a human again. Do you understand? Tang Jing suddenly understood, but he was still full of doubt and asked, "You are saying that anyone can be reincarnated after they die?" "Anyone? Ah, what a joke, of course not. Do you think that everyone is so lucky? For example, people like you who disturb the order will be thrown into the 18 layers of hell after they die. They will suffer torment and pain until their soul is scattered, completely disappearing from this world. As for others, as long as they perform well in the ghost realm, they will naturally have a chance to be reincarnated as a human. Otherwise, they will be muddle-headed and enslaved in the ghost realm for the rest of their lives." When Tang Jing heard this, he was furious. After he died, he had to suffer the pain of the 18 layers of hell. Who set this rule? If an ordinary person heard this, they would have been scared to the point of kneeling and begging for mercy. But Tang Jing was different. As his strength grew stronger, he became more and more confident in himself. Only the pair of fists in his hands was the absolute truth. Only then could he defend his rights and dignity. Then who decides whether a person is enslaved or reincarnated? Of course it is the King of Hell. If you are chosen by the King of Hell, then you can naturally be reincarnated earlier, or enjoy glory and wealth in the ghost realm. Tang Jing felt a chill run down his spine. The ghost realm was just like the human realm, full of all kinds of ugliness. It turned out that everything was based on relationships. In an instant, he no longer had a good impression of the ghost realm, nor did he have the slightest respect or fear for them. I don't know what method you used, but it can actually increase a person's lifespan. If more and more people don't die, then the ghost realm will have no source of ghosts, and ghosts will have to be reincarnated at every moment. There will only be output but no input. In the end, there will be no ghosts in the ghost realm. Wouldn't that be chaos? But now that we have caught you, the main culprit, there will be no more troubles in the future. There will be an endless stream of ghosts entering the ghost realm. Aha, we can be carefree again. Why aren't you dead yet? A ghost marshal suddenly stared at Tang Jing and asked suspiciously. That's right, the xianxia should have already invaded his body. How can he still be standing there unscathed? Another ghost marshal exclaimed in disbelief. Tang Jing's body was warm and he did not feel any discomfort. He gradually understood that perhaps ordinary people would definitely be killed by the xianxia in the ghost realm, but to him, his pure yang energy had completely offset the xianxia, and the xianxia had no way of entering his body, causing the ghost marshal's plan to fail. Tang Jing sneered, he looked at the other party with ill intentions and said, "I already know the information I want, now it's your turn to die. I'm very curious if you can reincarnate after you die." Ghost Marshal's expression changed greatly. Although they were strong, they were still ghosts in essence. Once they were killed, their souls would scatter and they would completely disappear from this world. They would not have the chance to reincarnate. From the other party's reaction, Tang Jing had also guessed the answer, and his killing intent soared. These two people already knew his identity, so they definitely could not let the tiger return to the mountain. Tang Jing roared, and summoned the heaven-shocking bow and the sun-shooting arrow. In the ghost realm, he did not have to worry about the problem of destructive power. The stronger the external force, the sooner he could take care of them. Tang Jing pulled open the bow and arrow, and the expressions of the two ghost marshal changed, because they could already feel a powerful aura from the bow and arrow. Let's go all out. Ghost Marshal looked at each other and roared. With a wave of his hands, 2 bells appeared in their hands. The bell was silent, but every time it shook, the cold wind between heaven and earth would become even stronger. Waves of ghost cries came from all directions, causing people to shudder. Previously, I was unable to unleash the full power of the soul-summoning bell in the mortal world. Now I'll let you try it. The ghost commander roared out. The more the bell rang, the more anxious it became, causing sand and stones to fly. A gust of cold wind turned into a tornado, swirling towards Tang Jing, and within the tornado, there were countless ferocious-looking ghost heads, all of them fiercely baring their teeth at Tang Jing, as if they wanted to tear him to pieces. Tang Jing was like still water. The heaven-shocking bow was pulled into a full moon, and seeing the tornado blowing over, he slowly released his fingers. With a strong vibration sound, the sun-shooting arrow left the bowstring and turned into a ray of light, accurately shooting into the tornado. Boom, 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 boom. A series of explosions sounded out one after another. The ghost heads screamed miserably and exploded, turning into strands of yin qi. The tornado also stopped abruptly and disappeared into thin air. Bang! The soul-summoning bell in the hands of one of the ghost marshals shattered into pieces with a clang, scattering all over the ground. He spat out a mouthful of blood and staggered backwards. How could he be so powerful? Just who are you? The ghost marshal screamed in shock. The other one had blood at the corner of his mouth and looked like he was on the verge of collapsing. He screamed, "Run!" He turned around and ran. Obviously this one was much smarter. He knew that the only reason he was able to fight to a draw with the other party was because the other party did not take out this great killing weapon. Now that they were far from being a match for the other party, if they did not escape they would be waiting to be killed. The other one also seemed to have woken up from a dream and turned to run. Tang Jing's reaction was even faster than theirs. He leaped and passed by the ghost marshal behind him. While he was still in the air, he pulled open the heaven-shocking bow and shot out the sun-shooting arrow, straight towards the ghost marshal in the distance. Boom! The sun-shooting arrow accurately pierced into the opponent's body and exploded. A miserable scream came to an abrupt end as the ghost marshal turned into black smoke and dissipated into the air. Tang Jing landed steadily on the ground and turned to face the ghost marshal who was rushing forward. The other party anxiously stopped and looked at Tang Jing in fear and uneasiness, shouting, "If you kill me you will cause a huge mess. If you go against the ghost realm you will definitely die." The corner of Tang Jing's mouth curled up into a cold smile and said, "Killing one is also killing, killing a pair is also killing. Furthermore, you are not the first person from the ghost realm to die in my hands. I know the ghost messengers and ghost generals that disappeared back then were also killed by you." The ghost marshal seemed to have awoken from a dream, but he was extremely shocked. "Since you know, then prepare to die." Chapter 540. Seeing the other party crush the ghost tablet, Tang Jing did not have time to stop him. His face sank as he asked, "Without this ghost tablet, you want to trap me in the ghost realm? Consider yourself smart. Even if I can't kill you, I will trap you so that you will never be able to reincarnate." The ghost commander gritted his teeth and said. Tang Jing did not think much of it and said, "Is that so? I'm afraid you've miscalculated. Look at what this is." Tang Jing took out a black token. If this was not the ghost tablet, then what was it? When he killed the ghost messengers and ghost general, he naturally obtained this ghost tablet. He knew that the ghost tablet could summon the ghost gate and connect the two worlds. Seeing the ghost tablet, the ghost messenger's expression changed greatly as he exclaimed, "How do you have the ghost tablet?" Just as he finished asking, he suddenly realized, "I know you killed them, so you obtained the ghost tablet." The corner of Tang Jing's mouth rose as he said, "Now you can give up. You want to trap me in the ghost realm? Wishful thinking." The ghost commander retreated step by step, his face filled with panic. He suddenly knelt in front of him and cried bitterly as he begged for mercy, "I beg you, let me go. I won't say anything." It's too late. Tang Jing slipped and appeared in front of the ghost commander. The other party was already scared out of his wits and subconsciously wanted to resist, but Tang Jing had already grabbed his neck. Bang, go to hell. True fire emerged from Tang Jing's palm, instantly igniting the ghost commander. The ghost commander screamed, but was unable to break free from Tang Jing's grasp. His screams weakened bit by bit. Bang. With an explosion he turned into wisps of yin qi and scattered with the wind. Tang Jing clapped his hands. After confirming that he did not leave behind any clues, he looked up. The sky was still dark, like the scene before a storm. From time to time a cold wind would blow by, cold and awe-inspiring. What entered his eyes was a desolate area without any buildings. Even the ground was dark as if it had been burned by fire. This is the ghost realm. It is indeed very different from the human world. The king of hell has set his eyes on the matter of extending his lifespan, and the ghost marshal he sent this time failed miserably. I wonder if he will send someone even more powerful. Tang Jing furrowed his brows. This problem really troubled him. Forget it. Let's go home and see how Grandpa is doing. He remembered that Grandpa had been in a coma. He didn't know how he was doing now. His true chi flowed into the ghost token. With a flash of black light, a ghost gate appeared in front of him. He leaped into the ghost gate. In the next second he appeared in his grandfather's room, only to see Ling Er staring at the air with her head tilted to one side. It seemed that with her understanding, it was very difficult for her to understand such a sudden disappearance, but she had been waiting foolishly because she believed that her master would definitely return safely. When she saw Tang Zheng's figure reappear, she immediately cheered and jumped directly onto Tang Zheng's body. Like a sloth, she tightly hugged him, afraid that he would disappear again in a blink of an eye. Master, Linger thought that you had abandoned me. You finally came back. Linger is so happy. Linger said pitifully. Tang Jing laughed involuntarily. He touched her head and asked, "Where is grandfather?" "Grandfather is lying on the sofa. I let Xiao Bai and Gui Chensui look after him," Linger said. Tang Jing strode into the living room. He saw his grandfather's eyes were closed as if he was sleeping soundly. Xiao Bai and Gui Chensui quietly guarded him. Seeing Tang Jing return, Xiao Bai rolled his eyes and drooped his head. It seemed that he had expected him to be safe and sound. Gui Chensui was pleasantly surprised. "Immortal." Tang Jing nodded. He held his grandfather's hand. A trace of Jin Qi wandered inside his grandfather's body. He checked and found that there was no major problem. He heaved a sigh of relief. In fact, if he had appeared a little later, the old man's soul would have been taken away from his body. Even if it was returned, it would cause great harm to his body. Fortunately, the soul did not completely leave the body. Tang Jing stopped it, so the old man luckily escaped. However, the old man's body was still invaded by a bit of yin qi, so he was unconscious. But it was all dispersed by Tang Jing's Jin qi. The old man would not wake up for the time being. Tang Jing did not intend to tell him about last night's big matter. He did not want him to worry in vain. So he told Ling Er and Gui Chensui not to reveal half a word to their grandfather. Then he took advantage of the night to buy furniture. Because the old man's room had become a mess, almost all the furniture was destroyed. Of course, Tang Jing could only buy new furniture. Fortunately, he had Lin Hu and Fire Phoenix, the two former local tyrants. Even in the middle of the night, they could gather a lot of furniture. When the sky turned white, he had already renovated the old man's bedroom. At this time, the old man faintly opened his eyes and looked around curiously. He thought he was dreaming. This was not his room at all. Seeing his grandson in front of him, he knew that all this was real. Of course, he could not help but ask. Tang Jing had already thought of a countermeasure. He directly said that he was filial to him. He specially took advantage of the old man's sleep to change his clothes. He wanted to give him a surprise. Fortunately, the old man gradually got used to Tang Jing's unusual behavior. Although he was distressed and complained about spending money, he did not say anything more. Only then did Tang Jing let out a sigh of relief and quietly got busy. Today was the most important day of the year, New Year's Eve. Therefore, Tang Jing did not bat an eyelid as if nothing had happened last night. He started to get busy early in the morning. But before she could get busy for a while, Lan Yu came to visit. She had fought hard for the opportunity to participate in this group year from the old man, so of course she had to perform well. However, she was not the only one who rushed over early. Mu Hongyan brought Nana over very quickly. The house immediately became lively and happy. New Year's Eve was an important day for the people of Wuxia. Not only the ordinary people but also the officials and even some mysterious organizations were jubilant on this day. Looking at the red lanterns hanging everywhere, Wu smiled from the bottom of his heart. After returning to the martial sect alone, the sect master asked her where Mistress had gone. According to Mistress's instructions, she perfunctorily passed over. Regarding this, she felt extremely guilty. Since she was young, she had never hidden anything from the sect master. This time she had no choice but to make an exception. This was because Mistress had warned her with certainty and seriousness that if the news of her looking for Tang Zheng were to spread, it was very likely that there would be a huge mess. Wu did not suspect that this was Mistress's alarmist words, because she did not doubt Mistress's judgment at all. Looking at the sky outside the high wall, her thoughts could not help but drift away. Mistress was alone in the ordinary balance. How was it? How was he getting along with the despicable Tang Zheng? Yes, she now defined Tang Zheng as a despicable fellow. This guy didn't know what was good for him. He actually treated Mistress so cruelly. She couldn't help but want to rush up and beat him up. Of course, in the dead of night, another thought would appear in her mind. She had done that kind of thing with that guy. If he were to return to the martial sect in the future and reunite with the sect leader's family, how would she get along with him? Back then, the sect master had said that he would adopt her for that day. That time, according to the sect master's orders, she gave herself to Tang Zheng. Could it be that the sect master already knew that Tang Zheng would explode one day? How could he foresee the future? Moreover, since the sect master knew that Tang Zheng was still alive, why didn't he look for him before? With the strength of the martial sect, even if it was like looking for a needle in a haystack, looking for a child in a busy crowd was not impossible. Why didn't the sect master take action? In addition, no one else knew that Tang Zheng was still alive. Why didn't he even tell his wife? Wasn't that too cruel? She calmed down and thought about it one by one. She found that there were many suspicious points. The sect master and mistress that she was very close to had too many secrets that she was unable to understand. Even the entire martial sect was covered with a layer of mystery. Even she, who grew up in the martial sect, was unable to see through it. Unknowingly, her delicate eyebrows were tightly knitted together. She retracted her gaze from the distant horizon. The people of the martial sect were constantly busy preparing for the New Year's Eve banquet. The martial sect also had to celebrate the new year. During the martial sect's childhood, for 365 days, other than the New Year's Eve, they had to practice hard on the rest of the days. Therefore, whenever the new year was approaching, she would silently hope that the day would come quickly so that she could play without any worries. Now that she had grown up, this feeling was getting fainter and fainter. Everything had turned into a meeting. But when she thought about it carefully, she felt that those days were exceptionally beautiful. Suddenly, her gaze turned cold as it locked onto two people who walked in from the door. One was the great elder, the other was an old granny. Ever since the great elder returned from the 10,000 huge mountains with injuries, he had been living in seclusion and had become somewhat mysterious. Even martial sect rarely saw him. Why did she bring an old granny to the martial sect this time? One had to know that the martial sect was not an ordinary place. Ordinary people would not be able to find it, let alone step through the door of the martial sect. That was simply a fool's dream. And this old granny was led by the great elder, so she was definitely not an ordinary person. She looked at the other party with a burning gaze, hoping to see some clues. However, she found that her efforts were useless. Suddenly, the old granny turned her head and looked at Wu Liao. When their eyes met, Wu Liao felt as if he had been struck by a giant bell. His face turned pale and he staggered back a few steps. The martial general's soul was still unsettled, but he hurriedly looked over, only to find that the other party had already shifted his gaze away, no longer looking at her. But that feeling just now was like a demon that lingered in her heart for a long time, unable to get rid of it. What kind of gaze was that? She was unable to describe it. She only knew that the gaze was extremely deep. Looking at it made her feel as if her entire body was about to be sucked in, unable to extricate herself. At the critical moment, she hurriedly circulated her energy and stabilized her mind. Only then did she withdraw from that dangerous state. However, she could not help but take a few steps back, her face pale. If a single gaze could cause such a huge impact on Marshall, then how powerful was the other party? Chapter 541. This old woman was no ordinary person, but the palace master of the Li Palace. Wu Junshan was surprised to see her. This was the first time the palace master of the Li Palace had come to visit him since he took charge of the martial arts sect. As the saying goes, those with good intentions don't come. Although the Li Palace and the martial arts sect were one of the two mysterious organizations, they didn't have much interaction with each other, let alone friendship. What was the reason for her sudden visit? Wu Junshan had a few thoughts in his mind as he quickly walked to the door. The two of them were of similar status, and because the princess was older, Wu Junshan didn't want to neglect her to prevent others from gossiping. Wu Junshan cupped his hands and bowed. Palace Master Li, what a rare guest. It turned out that both the palace master and the holy maiden were surnamed Li, and the palace master was called Granny Li. She was still leaning on her walking stick, like an old woman with one foot in the grave. Her eyes were completely covered by wrinkles. She looked at Wu Junshan with a smile and said, "Sect Master Wu, how have you been?" "Thank you for your concern, Palace Master Li. I heard that you've been cultivating in seclusion for a long time, and it seems that you've gained a lot." Wu Junshan said meaningfully, but his heart was shocked. In the past, his cultivation was on par with hers. Although she had lived for decades and cultivated for decades longer, Wu Junshan was quite talented in martial arts and could be called a genius. Therefore he had reached the 7th level of the Grandmaster realm in his middle age. But now it seemed that the older the ginger, the spicier it was. Granny Li had surpassed him and reached the 8th level of the Grandmaster realm. Wu Junshan knew that the further one went on the path of martial arts, the harder it was to break through each level. It was not easy for Granny Li to achieve this. However, Wu Junshan wasn't jealous, nor was he discouraged. He believed that with his talent and hard work, he could surpass her in the future. Sometimes, age could be the biggest advantage. Wu Junshan was younger than Granny Li by a few decades. One day he would stand at the peak again. Granny Li smiled. Wrinkles covered her face like the bark of an old tree, contrasting sharply with Wu Junshan's smooth and delicate skin. "What brings Palace Master Li here?" Wu Junshan asked. Granny Li took a deep look at the other party and said, "Of course it's an important matter. I heard that something unexpected happened to the martial sect. 3rd Elder and 4th Elder both met with misfortune. This is really a pity." Wu Junshan's expression did not change, but his heart skipped a beat. He said, "The 2 elders sacrificed themselves for the martial sect. Everyone in the martial sect respects them." Indeed, I miss them very much. Back then, this senior had a lot of interactions with them. If the old sect master was here, perhaps he would not hesitate to make the murderer disappear from this world, Grandma Li said meaningfully. Wu Junshan's expression turned solemn as he asked, "What do you mean, Palace Master Li?" "I just heard that the murderer is still at large and I feel a little regretful." "Alright, I also heard that the culprit was actually a cultivator. Hasn't the martial sect always adopted a zero-tolerance attitude towards cultivators? Why is it that this time the murderer is being ignored?" Wu Junshan's expression became more and more serious as he stared at Granny Li and asked, "Is there a hidden meaning in your words?" "Is there? Palace Master Li, this is the martial sect's business. There is no need for outsiders to tell us what to do," Wu Junshan said bluntly. "Sect Master Wu has such a big temper. Even when the old sect master was alive, he did not have such a temper with me. Truly the new generation excels the old. I'm just stating the facts. Today is New Year's Eve. If Palace Master Li is sincerely here as a guest, then this Wu will welcome you with open arms. If Palace Master Li wants to use your status to tell us what to do, then I'm sorry, but this Wu has no time to argue with you," Wu Junshan said grandly. Granny Li's smile did not fade as she said, "I have been friends with the old sect master for many years. Since he is no longer here, of course I have to ask about the martial sect. The martial sect master is young and hot-blooded. If he makes a mistake and brings serious consequences to the martial sect, then I won't have the face to meet the old sect master in the future." Although these words were said casually, there was a lot of information in her words. She really wanted to fight to the death and interfere with the martial sect's business. Wu Junshan's heart burned with anger. The martial sect and the Li Palace had not interfered with each other all these years. If she wanted to interfere just because of a few words, then what was Wu Junshan? "See the guest out." Wu Junshan directly sat back in his chair and coldly shouted. Granny Li did not move and no one asked her to leave. Wu Junshan's thick eyebrows formed a Chuan character. He turned his head to look at the indifferent head elder. This kind of thing was obviously done by the head elder, but since he did not move, then things became complicated. Wu Junshan was extremely intelligent. He immediately sensed that something was amiss. Suppressing his anger, he repeated, "First elder, see the guest out." The head elder stood up but did not send Granny Li away. Instead, he faced Wu Junshan and said, "Sect Master, Palace Master Li and the old sect master are old friends. Seeing that something is wrong with the martial sect, of course she has the right to ask." Nonsense. Hearing this, Wu Junshan immediately concluded that there was something fishy about the other party. They really did not come with good intentions. Bang. He slammed his palm on the armrest of the chair, making a loud noise. He shouted, "How can an outsider interfere in the martial sect's affairs? Head elder, as an old member of the martial sect, don't you understand this principle?" The head elder was not afraid at all. He said, "Of course I understand. But this matter concerns the survival of the martial sect. I cannot turn a blind eye." "A bunch of nonsense. Sect master, then let me ask you a question. We have already confirmed that the deaths of the 3rd and 4th brothers are related to Tangjing, and he is a cultivator. Why did you order not to deal with him? What is the meaning of this?" The head elder asked in a powerful voice. "I am the sect master. I have my own considerations. Why do I need to explain to you?" If that is the case, then why don't the sect master dispel my doubts and tell me what your considerations are? The head elder pressed on. You don't need to know. Humph, could it be that there is some secret that cannot be revealed? The great elder's eyes were like torches as he stared fixedly at Wu Junshan. Wu Junshan did not budge an inch. Their eyes met, and neither of them showed any signs of weakness. Wu eavesdropped on the conversation from outside the door. Seeing the great elder pressing on step by step and the sect master not explaining, she became worried. Of course she knew why the sect master did this. It was because Tang Zheng was his son. However, from the attitude of the sect master and mistress, they did not wish for others to know about this matter. Then the sect master would definitely not be able to explain it. If he could not explain it, then he would not be able to satisfy the great elder. What should he do now? Wu was rather respectful to the elders, but this kind of respect was much worse than the respect he had for the sect master. Especially when she saw the great elder bringing an outsider to the sect master to denounce him, her impression of the great elder plummeted. The two of them being so aggressive towards the sect master made her extremely angry. She rushed in with large strides and complained, "Great elder, how can you speak to the sect master like that?" Everyone's attention was immediately attracted to Wu. The great elder's face was ashen as he said, "Wu, this is none of your business." Scram. However, it was as if Wu's feet had grown roots as he did not move an inch. Instead, he glared at the great elder and said indignantly, "Great elder, this is our martial sect's business. How can we let outsiders interfere? This is simply a joke to outsiders." "What do you know? This is not the place for you to speak. I'll say it again." Scram. The great elder roared at the top of his lungs. Marshall remained motionless. Grandma Li looked at Wu with a smile and said in a strange tone, "This must be sect master Wu's disciple. Truly a famous teacher produces a brilliant disciple. He even dares to be so disrespectful to an elder. If the old sect master were to know of this, I wonder what he would think." In front of outsiders, a junior dared to speak to him in such a manner. It was truly disrespectful. The great elder was so angry that smoke came out of his 7 orifices. His face was red as he roared, "Since you don't know the rules, then I'll teach you the rules so that outsiders won't laugh at you." As soon as he finished speaking, he charged towards Wu like a bolt of lightning. Wu was shocked. The great elder actually dared to teach her a lesson in front of outsiders. Not only was this a slap to her face, it was also a slap to the sect master's face. Since when did the great elder dare to act so recklessly? Of course, Wu was not a match for the great elder. Just as he was about to move, he was locked onto by the other party's gaze. No matter what he did, he was unable to escape that slap. Wu did not care about being injured. Could even be said that death was not regrettable. However, he cared about the sect master's face. "Stop!" Wu Junshan angrily roared. He had already disappeared from his chair and was standing in front of Wu. He reached out his hand to block. With a pung sound, the great elder flew backwards. He staggered as he landed on the ground. He was in an extremely sorry state. Wu's heart still had lingering fear, but she also let out a sigh of relief. She was pleasantly surprised as she looked at the back of the figure in front of her. The sect master was too good to her. Not only was he her master, he taught her profound martial arts. He also protected her in all aspects. He did not even hesitate to use force against the great elder. "Pa pa pa." Crisp applause rang out. Grandma Li clapped her hands with a face full of smiles and said, "Wonderful." Sect Master Wu did not hesitate to use force against an elder for his disciple. He truly is a role model for a master. Wu Junshan frowned and said, "Palace Master Li, the martial sect does not welcome you. Please leave." If you want to drive me away, it won't be that easy. If this matter is not cleared up, I will not leave," Grandma Li said. The great elder also stood beside Grandma Li and said, "If we do not clear up this matter, we will not be able to face the spirit of the old sect master in heaven. It is possible that the 100 years of the martial sect's foundation will be destroyed in a day. Palace Master Li is an honored guest that I invited to be a witness to this matter. Sect Master, today we must get to the bottom of this matter. Why exactly are you protecting that Tang Zheng?" Wu Junshan coldly snorted and did not comment. Chapter 542. Granny Li looked at Wu Junshan thoughtfully and asked, "Sect Master Wu, may I ask where your wife went?" Wu Junshan's expression did not change, but his heart skipped a beat. Even he did not know where his wife went. Ever since that incident, he and his wife had been separated. Although the matter of his wife going out was very strange, he did not look into it and was perfunctorily brushed aside by Wu. Seeing that Wu Junshan took the initiative to mention it, he suddenly had a bad premonition. She went out to travel. Ah, is that so? As far as I know, in the past 20 years, she has never taken half a step out of the martial organization. Why is she in the mood to travel now? Granny Lee asked. A person's mood changes. She didn't like to go out before, but that doesn't mean she won't like to go out now or in the future. Don't tell me you don't even understand this principle? Wu Junshan asked. Granny Lee did not mind, and the smile on her face became even wider. Sect Master Wu's words are really sharp. If I didn't know where your wife went, I might have been stumped by your question. Wu Junshan's eyelids twitched and he subconsciously looked at Wu. Wu's face flashed with panic. Li Palace controlled the world's intelligence. Could it be that they really found the whereabouts of Master's wife? She faintly had a bad premonition. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. My disciple once told me a strange thing. The wife of the martial organization Sect Master left the martial organization for no reason and went to see that cultivator called Tang Zheng. Moreover, she even started a massacre for him? I really can't figure out the mystery behind this. I wonder if Sect Master Wu can tell me a thing or two. Granny Lee directly exposed the loophole in Wu Junshan's words. Wu Junshan's mouth twitched. This was indeed out of his expectations. Even he did not know the whereabouts of his wife, but she was discovered by the Li Palace. But why did his wife go find Tang Zheng? Could it be that she knew about that matter? She did not ask about the affairs of the sect all year round, so who told her? Oh. Suddenly this name came out from the bottom of his heart. He immediately turned to look at his disciple and found that her expression was indeed strange. As the person who had raised her since she was young, he knew her as well as her father. From this slight change he could tell that she had lied to him. She definitely knew about this matter, and it was very likely that she had leaked the truth to his wife. He tried his best to conceal this matter, but he did not expect that Wu Yu would tell his wife, leading to the current situation. For a moment he was a little flustered, but as the sect master of the martial arts sect, his ability to adapt on the spot was unparalleled. He immediately calmed down and glared at Granny Lee saying, "This is my family's business. There's no need to tell you." Granny Lee smiled and the wrinkles on her face blossomed, making her look somewhat sinister. She turned her eyes and glanced at the Great Elder. The Great Elder tacitly understood and immediately took over the conversation. He righteously said, "Sect Master, this is not your family's matter, but a major matter that concerns the martial sect. You must make it clear." Wu Junshan was enraged. "Grand Elder, since when is it your turn to question me? Who taught you the rules? This is going against your superiors, do you understand? That's not right. When the old sect master passed the position to you, he clearly said that the four of us would assist you in governing the martial arts sect, so as to prevent you from making any mistakes. Although third brother and fourth brother are no longer here, second brother and I have the responsibility and obligation to correct your mistakes in time, so as to prevent the martial sect from being led into a situation of eternal damnation." The Great Elder said with certainty. "I am the sect master. How can you interfere with my words and actions? Grand Elder, you have colluded with outsiders to interfere with the martial arts sect's matters. You have already broken the rules set by our ancestors. Are you forcing me to use the family's laws?" Wu Junshan was a smart person. He took the initiative to point out that the other side had colluded with outsiders. This was a crime that all the sects and personnel hated. No one liked people who lived off others while helping others. But the Great Elder was not intimidated by this crime. He fearlessly said, "Do you want to use this crime to nail me to death?" Humph, the old sect master had long expected this day to come. He left behind a personal letter. "If you do not listen to the advice of us elders, we have the right to remove you from the position of sect master and find someone else to replace you." As he spoke, he carefully took out a tightly wrapped letter from his bosom. Unfolding it, it was surprisingly carved with words. "Take a look and see if this is the old sect master's handwriting?" the Great Elder asked proudly. Wu Junshan's pupils shrank as he stared at the letter. His mind was greatly shaken. Of course he recognized the old sect master's handwriting. Without a doubt, this was the old sect master's handwriting. Moreover, it was as the Great Elder said. If Wu Junshan did not listen to the elder's advice and did something harmful to the martial arts sect, the elders had the right to remove him and replace him with someone else. When he passed the position to me, he was actually on guard against me. No wonder he appointed the 4 elders to assist me. This is to monitor me and be on guard against me. Wu Junshan silently thought. He had a close relationship with the old sect master. Like Wu Junshan, he was also an orphan raised by the old sect master. The two of them were like father and son. However, he never thought that the old sect master would be on guard against him. Knowing this fact really caused him to have mixed feelings, and his heart was as cold as ice. A person he respected and trusted had been on guard against him from the beginning to the end, treating him like an enemy. This feeling could only be best understood by the person involved. Of course, he did not suspect that the Great Elder had forged this letter. Because each stroke was carved with a knife and an axe, no one else could forge the charm. However, Wu Junshan's reaction was extremely fast. A strange look flashed across his face, but he immediately calmed down and shouted, "Ridiculous, Great Elder, you colluded with outsiders to steal my sect master's position. You are truly deranged. You actually used such a despicable method. You did not hesitate to imitate the old sect master's handwriting to force me to do it. However, you are wrong. If I really did do it, then the old sect master would not be able to rest in peace. Since you colluded with outsiders, then you are a traitor of the martial sect." Man. Wu Junshan roared, and a group of people rushed in through the door. The Great Elder has colluded with outsiders with ill intentions. He has already betrayed the martial sect. Capture him. Wu Junshan took the initiative and announced righteously. Everyone looked at each other, not knowing what to do. The Great Elder's face was ashen as he roared angrily, "Wu Junshan, you are slandering me. You clearly have an ulterior motive. Not only did you go against the martial sect's principles, you may even lead the martial sect to eternal damnation. That's why you're the traitor of the martial sect. Disciples of the martial sect, listen to my orders. We've already removed Wu Junshan from the position of sect leader. Capture him and punish him." The two of them spoke righteously. Everyone looked at each other, not knowing who to listen to. After all, these two were the highest in the martial sect. Seeing this, Wu Junshan stomped his foot and shouted angrily, "Are you going to disobey?" Everyone's heart trembled. No longer daring to hesitate, they swarmed towards the Great Elder. The Great Elder was furious as he shouted, "You dare to listen to the orders of a traitor? Death is not enough. I will help the sect master clean up the sect." The Great Elder was like a fierce tiger descending from the mountain as he rushed into the crowd. Every move he made was extremely ruthless. All of them were killing moves. The people at the front immediately fell to the ground, blood splattering everywhere. Blood immediately filled the air, stimulating people's nerves, causing the blood in their blood vessels to become restless. Granny Lee was still smiling. No one could get close to her. She was like an outsider spectator watching the group of people kill each other. Her wrinkles relaxed. Hee, interesting. I didn't expect to see such a good show after following the sect master's orders to come to the martial sect. No wonder the revered lord was still worried about Wu Junshan and wanted to test him again. This person is really not easy to control. He is decisive when it comes to killing, and his mind is sharp. If not for sufficient preparation, I'm afraid that the backup plan left behind by the old sect leader would be useless, unable to withstand a single blow. Granny Lee silently pondered as she turned her gaze towards Wu Junshan. His eyes were filled with murderous intent, and his tall stature gave him the aura of an ambitious and ruthless person. An ambitious and ruthless person? There are many ambitious and ruthless people in this world, but they are not worth mentioning in front of the sect master. The martial sect and the Li Palace are the sect master's chess pieces. How could the sect master watch as the chess pieces leave his hands? Since Wu Junshan is not sensible, then we'll get rid of him and find another obedient person for this position. Who dares to touch the Great Elder? Do you want a rebel? Suddenly, a group of people rushed in and one of them shouted. This person was the second elder, who was ranked second among the 4 great elders. When he saw the Great Elder being besieged in the crowd, he was unable to restrain his anger. He instantly understood what was going on and immediately shouted, "Boss, don't worry, I'm here to save you. Everyone listen up. Wu Junshan has already betrayed the martial sect. He no longer has the qualifications to be our sect leader. Now we must clean up the sect. Anyone who dares to help Wu Junshan will be killed without question." As soon as he finished speaking, he rushed in with the people behind him. Suddenly, the hall became extremely crowded with hundreds of people. These people were not mediocre. There was no lack of post-celestial and post-celestial experts. When they rushed in, the momentum was terrifying. Soon, blood flowed like a river and many people fell on the ground. They might have been fellow disciples drinking and chatting merrily yesterday, but today they had become life and death enemies, pointing their swords at each other. Life was full of changes, it was just like that. Seeing people fall one by one, Wu Junshan's breathing could not help but quicken. In fact, he had only taken over the position of sect master for a few years. In the past, the old sect master's authority was very strong. When he was alive, he had perfect control over the martial sect. In these years, Wu Junshan had worked hard to gradually establish his prestige and nurture many rising stars. These people were different from the old generals. These people were only loyal to him and not the old sect master. However, the strength of the great elders could not be underestimated. They had inherited many people who were loyal to the old sect master. These people were mostly veterans who had experienced hundreds of battles. When they killed, they were especially fierce. Chapter 543. Wu Junshan felt as if a knife was being twisted in his heart as he watched his fellow disciples fall into a pool of blood. Wu Junshan was furious and was about to charge into the battle, but Wu Junshan was one step ahead of her. His figure flashed and blended into the crowd. Bang, bang, bang. Everywhere he passed, people were sent flying, and all of them fell to the ground far away. No one could stop his powerful attack. However, he didn't kill them. After all, they were his subordinates. Elders, look at what you've done. Wu Junshan roared. He was already in front of the first elder. The first elder hurriedly retreated, but there was no way he could escape. Wu Junshan drew a circle in the air with one hand and the first elder was enveloped by a vast power. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't escape the circle. Wu Junshan's palm was like thunder hitting the first elder's chest. The first elder staggered back, but Wu Junshan quickly caught up and grabbed his arm. With a tug, the first elder bounced back and was about to fall into Wu Junshan's palm. Wu Junshan's series of attacks were as fast as lightning. Although the first elder was also a master, the difference between them was like heaven and earth. Seeing this, the second elder wanted to help, but it was too late. The people who followed Wu Junshan's orders were all excited. This was the real master of a sect. This aura, this method, no one in the sect could be his opponent. No matter what tricks they played, they couldn't withstand a single blow from this absolute power. However, some people weren't optimistic. Wu kept frowning as she looked at Granny Li. Suddenly, she saw a blur in front of her and Granny Li disappeared. In the next second, she appeared between the first elder and Wu Junshan. She tapped the air with her walking stick. There was nothing strange about it, as if it was an ordinary attack. However, the aura created by Wu Junshan collapsed, causing the first elder to heave a sigh of relief. Wu Junshan didn't retreat. Instead, he quickly followed. His 5 fingers had already locked the first elder's shoulder blade, preventing him from moving. Although the great elder was a martial scholar, he was still like a puppet in Wu Junshan's hands. He was in a very sorry state. Granny Li chuckled and pointed her crutch at Wu Junshan's wrist. This time it was not pointed at the void but at Wu Junshan's wrist. It was so fast and accurate that it was impossible to dodge. Wu Junshan's expression changed, but he still didn't retreat. He let out a low roar and drew a circle in front of his chest with his other hand. The air vibrated, enveloping the incoming crutch. Boom. Chi energy flew out in all directions as if they were blown away by a tornado. One after another, they staggered backwards. Those who were not strong enough even fell on their butts on the ground, looking extremely pathetic. Wu Junshan only saw a silhouette flash before his hands were empty. The great elder was actually snatched away by Granny Li. Granny Li quickly retreated and pulled away from Wu Junshan. Martial's mind was greatly shaken. The sect master had always been an invincible figure in her heart, but in this exchange of blows, he had actually fallen into a disadvantageous position. This caused her to be extremely shocked. Biting her lips, she really wanted to go up and help the sect master. However, she knew that in a battle of this level, her cultivation was not even qualified to be a bystander. On the contrary, she would only add fuel to the fire. Wu Junshan's face was gloomy. There was not much change in his mind, but a storm had already set off in his heart. There seemed to be only a fine line between the 8th level and the 7th level of the Master Realm, but the real gap between the two sides was not to be underestimated. For example, this time, Granny Li had seized the initiative and seized the opportunity to snatch the Great Elder from him. Granny Li's smile disappeared. She said, "Sect Master Wu's martial arts are really powerful. However, with me here, it is indeed impossible for you to kill these 2 elders. Sect Master Li, do you really want to get involved in this matter? This will make the martial organization and Li Palace enemies, and they will fight to the death." Wu Junshan asked in a deep voice. Haha, the relationship between the Li Palace and the martial sect is not something that can be clearly explained in a few words, and they are certainly not the old enemies you speak of. As for the specifics, the elders that followed the old sect master for most of his life are the clearest. Although you are the successor chosen by the old sect master did not stop telling you the details. This is a test for you. Now it seems that you have not passed the old sect master's test, and your position as the sect master no longer exists. Granny Li said slowly. Ridiculous. How can an outsider like you be qualified to say such words? Wu roared in anger. Granny Li did not care and said, it is useless for you to argue. The current situation is the best evidence. If you continue to fight, then the martial organization's 100 years of foundation will really be destroyed. Humph, letting you people take charge of the martial organization is really destroying it. Wu retorted. Granny Li did not care and looked at the two elders. The two elders understood and said in a clear voice, in the name of the elders, we announce that Wu Junshan has colluded with cultivators and violated the martial organization's sect master. He will be stripped of his position as the sect master, expelled from the martial organization and killed on the spot. Everyone started whispering to each other. Many of them did not believe that the sect leader would collude with the cultivators. These martial organization people had been instilled with a viewpoint since they were young, and that was to eliminate the cultivators by the roots and not leave behind any future troubles. Many people who originally believed in Wu Junshan refuted loudly, nonsense, how could the sect master collude with cultivators? You are slandering him. Is that so? Then why don't you ask him yourself and see if he is protecting that cultivator called Tangzheng? Just what kind of unspeakable relationship does he have with the other? The great elder said proudly. Sect master, quickly say it. All of this is nonsense. There is no such thing. Immediately, everyone looked at the sect master excitedly, waiting for his answer. Wu Junshan's expression was normal, but he was speechless. Do you see? He has no way of answering. That means he is admitting it. This is the sect master that you all are protecting. If he is not betraying the martial organization, then what is he? The great elder struck while the iron was hot and said impatiently. The martial organization's rules were deeply ingrained in everyone's heart. Although they respected the sect master, they respected the martial organization's rules even more. Or they believed in the martial organization's rules. They were taught to kill cultivators since they were young. At this moment, they were suddenly told that the sect master that they respected was protecting cultivators and even colluding with them. This was simply the greatest blow to their faith, causing their confidence to sway. The great elder was very clear on this point, so he cleverly used this point. In an instant, many people who had pledged their allegiance to Wu Junshan began to waver. Of course, after all these years, Wu Junshan was not completely useless. There were still many people who believed him and angrily rebuked the great elder for spouting nonsense. Even if the sect master really did so, he had other intentions. He definitely did not betray the martial organization. The two elders' eyes flashed with pride. They looked at each other, then cupped their hands towards Grandma Li and said in a clear voice, Palace Master Li, a traitor has appeared in the martial organization, and this traitor's cultivation is high. We know that we are not his opponent. Palace Master Li, as the old sect master's close friend, we beg you to help us clean up the sect. His words were powerful and impassioned. Many people chimed in, Palace Master Li, please be righteous and help us clean up the sect. You are all crazy, shameless. Wu Junshan was so angry that he stomped his feet and cursed loudly. With Wu Junshan's style of doing things, she would never lose her composure like this, much less curse people like this. It could be seen how intense the anger in her heart was at this moment. Grandma Li nodded towards the two elders and smiled proudly. Haha, I am indebted to the two elders and the old sect master's kindness. Then this old one will not refuse and help you. Finished speaking, she turned to look at Wu Junshan. Sect Master Wu, no, you are no longer the sect master, you should be called Wu Junshan. You betrayed the martial organization, today I will help them clean up the sect. Wu Junshan sneered, ridiculous Grandma Li, you are really powerful. I am afraid that in the future, there will no longer be a martial organization, but only the Li Palace. What he meant was that the Li Palace wanted to annex the martial organization. Grandma Li said, that is wrong, the Li Palace and the martial organization are connected, of course they will coexist in this world. The relationship between the Li Palace and the martial organization is not something you can imagine. Maybe when you go underground you can ask the old sect master for advice and he will answer for you. Wu Junshan was even more puzzled. From beginning to end, the other party had said that the relationship between the martial organization and the Li Palace was not shallow, but Wu Junshan had never known this. Even when the old sect master was alive, the two organizations did not have much interaction, which made him puzzled. In addition, looking at the other party's confident manner, it was not a lie, which meant that there were many things between the martial organization and the Li Palace that he did not know. As the leader of a sect, he knew nothing about these things. This was definitely something that the old sect leader had deliberately concealed. Furthermore, the 4 elders had received the old sect leader's orders and kept him in the dark. This feeling of being deceived was extremely unpleasant. Moreover, because of the matter with Tang Jing, he had some complaints about the old sect master, but this feeling was always buried in the bottom of his heart. Now it seemed that the old sect master was far-sighted and seemed to have sensed his thoughts, so he had always been on guard against him. Thinking of this, Wu Junshan could not help but feel bored. In the first half of his life he had almost sacrificed his son, but in exchange he had been deceived and guarded. This made his heart turn cold and he gradually lost hope in the martial organization. The hidden hatred for the old sect master grew stronger and stronger. It seems that you have many schemes that cannot be seen. Fine, since it is so, then I will not be the sect master. From now on, we will not interfere with each other's business. Wu Junshan said hatefully. The 2 elders were secretly delighted, their eyes shining with starlight. But many people advised, "Sect master, this is the enemy's scheme. You cannot fall into their trap. You are our sect master, forever our sect master." Wu also advised, "Sect master, please reconsider." "I have made up my mind," Wu Junshan said firmly. During this period of time he had been hiding his relationship with Tang Jing, but he had also been secretly working hard. He had ordered Wu to bring Tang Jing back to the martial organization at all costs, just to give his wife a surprise and make up for the mistakes of the past. Of course he had misjudged the situation. That was, the elders were not sincere in their allegiance to him, but had other intentions. Chapter 544. Wu Junshan had already made up his mind. "I have made up my mind. There is no need to persuade me. From now on we have nothing to do with each other." With that he strode out of the door. "Sovereign, I will go with you." Wu Junshan started to leave. Sounds of agreement could be heard from the crowd. "Sovereign, we will follow you no matter where you go." In the end, 30 people followed behind Wu Junshan without hesitation. The 2 elders looked cold. They didn't expect so many people to follow Wu Junshan. They couldn't help but feel a little scared. If they let him run the sect for a few more years, maybe most people would listen to his orders. Then it would be impossible to remove him from the position of sovereign. "Stop!" Suddenly the great elder shouted. "Since you are no longer part of the martial organization and you have colluded with cultivators, you are the enemies of the martial organization. The martial organization has never treated their enemies gently, but like a storm. Today none of you will leave this place." Of course, the elders wouldn't let the tiger return to the mountain. They were very clear that with Wu Junshan's talent, his future was limitless. If they didn't kill him today, they would be in great danger in the future. These old men who had experienced countless storms were all vicious and merciless people. Their attitude was firm and decisive. They definitely wouldn't leave behind any future troubles. Wu Junshan and the others stopped and looked at each other in disbelief. "You want to kill us all? Hasn't the martial organization always treated their enemies like this?" The great elder asked. "Equals, if you want to keep us here, we will have to see if you have the ability." Wu Junshan was not afraid at all. "Ah, of course they can't keep you here. Do you think I have the ability?" Granny Li stood up again with a smile on her face. There was no doubt that she had decided to get into this mess to the end. Wu Junshan said, "Fine, I have always wanted to experience Grandma Li's skills. Today is a good opportunity. You guys go first, I will follow." "No, we won't go. We will advance and retreat with the sovereign," Wu Junshan said loudly. The others nodded in agreement. The great elder sneered. "Stop arguing. No one can leave. Since you are so loyal to him, of course you will follow him to the underworld. Do you really not care about the friendship between fellow disciples?" Wu Junshan asked. The elder sneered. Clearly he would not show the slightest bit of mercy. "Everyone, I, Wu Junshan, am not worthy of your respect and love. Since that's the case, let's kill our way out and see who can stop us," Wu Junshan said vehemently. "Kill our way out, kill our way out." The crowd was stirred up. "Let's do it." Seeing that their morale was high, the elder didn't waste any more time lest anything unexpected happened. He gave the order with a loud shout. "Kill." Their shouts shook the sky as if they wanted to lift the roof. The crowd immediately started fighting again. A few people had just gotten close to Wu Junshan's body when they were sent flying. Wu Junshan had just wanted to charge and kill them. No matter how many enemies there were, they wouldn't be able to withstand a charge from an expert like him. But how could Granny Li let him do as he wished? She fiercely tapped the ground with her crutch and soared into the air, attacking Wu Junshan from mid-air. Wu Junshan looked up and drew 3 circles in front of his chest with his hands. A surge of inner strength surged out from the circles and met the crutch head-on. With a pop, it was like a sharp weapon had popped a bubble. The air shook in all directions, but the crutch continued to attack Wu Junshan like a hot knife through butter. Every move was a fierce killing move. Obviously, Granny Li didn't show any mercy. This was her style. Once she had decided on something, she would do it without hesitation. This matter was personally instructed by the High Lord, so of course she didn't dare to be negligent. The martial organization and Li Palace were the two chess pieces in the High Lord's hands. Now that one of the chess pieces was disobedient, she naturally had to ensure that this chess piece returned to the right path. For someone like Wu Junshan who disrupted the game, she would not show the slightest bit of mercy. The High Lord is really observant. He didn't miss a single detail and killed all the dangerous factors in the cradle. Granny Li was full of admiration. Only after fighting with Wu Junshan did she understand how powerful he was. In the future she really would not be able to deal with him. Moreover, she believed that he had a better chance of breaking through to the Martial King realm in the future than she did. Leaving such a disaster alive would be a huge problem for her, Li Palace, and even the High Lord. Granny Li's eyes were filled with killing intent. With a low shout, the strength of the crutch in her hand increased by 30%. She was determined to kill Wu Junshan in one hit. Wu Junshan had nowhere to retreat. His hands continued to draw circles in front of his chest. This time it wasn't just one circle but 9 in the blink of an eye. The air rippled, forming circles that wrapped around the crutch's earth-shattering attack. Wu Junshan, your yin-yang harmony balance has reached such a level. You can draw 9 circles in one breath. You're almost as good as the old patriarch back then. You're really a martial arts genius. Unfortunately, you're still not as good as me. Granny Li's expression changed slightly. The crutch had already landed, breaking the first circle, and its strength was reduced by a portion. When the 9 circles were broken one by one, the crutch was only left with a portion of its strength when it was in front of Wu Junshan's chest. However, even with just a portion of its strength, its power was terrifying. The crutch hit Wu Junshan's chest. Poof! A pillar of blood spurted out. However, at this critical moment, Wu Junshan grabbed the crutch. The crutch had used up all its strength and could not move forward anymore. A trace of blood flowed out from the corner of Wu Junshan's mouth, but his eyes were bright like the sun, so bright that it made people panic. Granny Li's heart skipped a beat. She had an ominous premonition, but she did not know where it came from. Wu Junshan opened his mouth and shouted, "Shadow, do it!" Swoosh! A sword light lit up on the ground without any warning. Once it lit up, it was like a scorching sun, so bright and blazing that people could not look at it directly. This sword light appeared behind Granny Li, so it was impossible to guard against it. This crowded hall was filled with people. Everyone was surrounded by many people, so no one expected such a swordmaster to be hiding among them. Although Granny Li didn't see this sword, she could judge the power of this sword just by feeling it. The person who made this move was definitely not an ordinary person. The key point was that the other party's whereabouts were mysterious and had escaped her detection, which was very terrifying. Her crutch was grabbed by Wu Junshan, so she had no weapon to block this sword. Moreover, it was too late. The attacker had calculated the timing and could not afford to make any mistakes. The only thing Granny Li could do was to quickly circulate her martial arts and adjust her body slightly to avoid her vital parts. The sword that was supposed to be aimed at her heart missed by a few centimeters and went through her shoulder blade. Blood immediately flowed out from the sword. Poof! The long sword was immediately pulled out from her body, leaving behind a trail of blood. Granny Li shouted. She took a deep breath and regained her strength. Her arm shook and the crutch shook violently, breaking free from Wu Junshan's hand. Wu Junshan took a step back and did not follow up with another attack. After the opponent regained her strength, it would not be so easy to attack again. Moreover, that sword had taken advantage of the right time and place. It could not be used again. Although it could not kill the opponent, it had injured her, which was very rare. It was very difficult for an expert like Granny Li to injure her. Granny Li quickly turned around, but she didn't see the person who hurt her. Even the sword had disappeared without a trace. Moreover, there were so many people in the crowd who were using swords. How could she tell who was the real attacker? The two elders were also shocked by this scene. Even they didn't see the person who made the move. They only saw the resplendent sword light, and then the sword light disappeared as if it had never appeared. How could there be such a sword master in the crowd? As elders of the martial arts sect, how could they know nothing about this? Almost everyone immediately turned their attention to Wu Junshan. Although he had taken a blow to the chest and his clothes were dyed red with blood, he still looked dignified and imposing. Moreover, from the calm expression on his face, he was still confident and powerful. Where did this confidence come from? It was probably due to the shadow he had just shouted. Who was the shadow? How could there be a shadow in the martial arts sect? The shadow had mixed in with the crowd. Everyone subconsciously stopped fighting and looked at each other. Anyone could be the shadow. Granny Lee stopped the bleeding and asked in surprise, "Is the shadow someone you secretly cultivated?" Wu Junshan smiled but did not say anything. "Amazing. It seems that you even fooled the old sect leader. You are really good at hiding things." Granny Lee clicked her tongue in admiration. She couldn't help but admire Wu Junshan. Not only was his cultivation high, but his shrewdness was also unfathomable. The shadow that he had secretly cultivated was definitely a master-level expert. How old was Wu Junshan to have cultivated such a shadow expert? Then how early did he carry out this plan? The key was that he had fooled everyone, including the martial arts sect people who had been with him day and night. This was not easy to do. Granny Lee could not help but feel a chill. If this kind of person was released, there would be endless trouble in the future. But she knew that with the threat of the shadow, unless she risked her life, there was no way she could stop Wu Junshan. Wu Junshan's plan was flawless, so he was not afraid. "Wu Junshan, it turns out that you have been disloyal for a long time. You really hid it well." The first elder complained in fear. He realized that he had underestimated the opponent. If he did not report this to the sect leader and invite Granny Lee, he would really fail miserably. But now, although he had not failed, this plan was equivalent to failure. He and Granny Lee had the same idea. The threat of the invisible shadow was enough to make them hesitate. Only those who had sworn to follow Wu Junshan to their deaths were inspired. They thought that they would definitely die, but now it seemed that there was a turning point. Of course, many people looked around trying to find the mysterious shadow. But where was the shadow? Chapter 545. Wu Junshan faced Granny Lee and the others, his gaze as sharp as a knife. With a heavy snort, he walked out in large strides without fear. Granny Lee's eyes fluctuated as she struggled with her heart, but in the end she remained indifferent. The others did not dare to act rashly and could only watch as they left. The great elder anxiously said, "Palace Master Lee, you can't let them go." Granny Lee remained expressionless and did not move. The great elder was stunned, knowing that persuasion was useless. With just the few of them, wanting to stop Wu Junshan was tantamount to a fool's dream. Granny Lee's pair of small eyes gradually narrowed into slits as she stared at the people walking out one by one, as if trying to distinguish who the mysterious shadow was. However, even when everyone left the hall, she did not notice anything strange. Thinking about it, it was reasonable. Since this shadow had been hiding in the martial sect for such a long time, even keeping the old sect leader and a few elders in the dark, he must be extremely careful. It was easier said than done to catch him. Seeing the group disappear, the two elders heavily pounded the wall and unwillingly vented, "Letting them go like this is the same as letting a tiger return to the mountain." Granny Lee gently glanced at them and said, "Wu Junshan has been in the martial organization for so many years, but none of you noticed. That's why he could safely leave without fear." The two were immediately speechless and could not help but feel ashamed. "We have let the old sect master down. But what should we do next? Since he is so protective of that Tang Jing, let's first find out what their relationship is." Granny Lee hit the nail on the head. The two looked at each other in dismay, unable to figure out the relationship between the two. They hung their heads dejectedly like defeated soldiers. Wu Junshan led a group of people and quickly left the martial organization, only stopping when they were more than 100 li away. Everyone looked at Wu Junshan. After so many years, these people had long regarded the martial organization as their home. Now that their home was gone, where should they go? Wu Yi looked at Wu Junshan with worry and asked, "Sect Master, what should we do next?" Wu Junshan said, "From now on, don't call me Sect Master because I am no longer the Sect Master of the martial sect." Everyone's expression changed. Although they had left the martial sect, these people still treated him as the sect leader. Thus, someone hurriedly advised, "Sect leader, you must not. You will always be our sect leader. Although you have left the martial sect, we can establish another martial sect. We will follow you forever. We must make the new martial sect bigger and stronger, and suppress the original martial sect." Wu Junshan waved his hand and signaled for everyone to be quiet. He said firmly, "I will not turn back. Since I have nothing to do with the martial sect, I will not establish a new martial sect. Then we can establish other organizations. As long as the sect leader is here, we can work together. We can definitely achieve something." Everyone hurriedly advised. Wu Yi hurriedly nodded. Obviously she also thought so. She did not think that such a small setback would defeat him. He would definitely regain his glory and let his enemies know what fear was and what regret was. Wu Junxin's expression was resolute as he made up his mind. There is no point in saying more. I am very grateful that you all left the martial organization with me. It has been hard on you all these years. From now on you are free. Without the martial organization's restrictions, you can all swim freely in the vast sea and fly freely in the sky. With your abilities, you will definitely be able to make a name for yourself in this world. Wu Junxin never worried about the livelihood of his subordinates. These people all had their own abilities and would not be at a disadvantage no matter where they went. In the future they might even become a tyrant of a region. However, these people did not think so. Wu Junxin was their backbone. Without him they would be like a sheet of loose sand. They would be like wandering ghosts without a master. No matter how many opportunities there were, they would not take a second look. Therefore, although Wu Junxin had only been in charge of the martial organization for a few years, his methods of controlling his subordinates were indeed very powerful. He could make his subordinates believe in him wholeheartedly and not use some benefits to rope them in. This was one of the rarest qualities of a leader. Previously, these people could bravely kill their enemies without batting an eyelid. However, after listening to Wu Junxin's arrangements, many of them revealed looks of fear and their eyes began to turn red. But someone knelt down in front of Wu Junxin, and then more and more people knelt down in front of him, sincerely persuading him, "Sect leader, I beg you to take back the order just now and lead us back to our former glory. Let those shameless people see how powerful sect leader is, and see how great of a loss Wu Zong will suffer without sect leader." Rows of 9-foot-tall men knelt down in front of Wu Junxin, crying. This scene was very touching. Even Wu Junxin could not help but be moved. Seeing Wu Junxin's hesitant expression, Wu Junxin's legs went soft and he knelt heavily on the ground. The stone floor under his knees cracked in half. He then heard Wu Junxin say with great emotion, "Sect leader, please lead us to kill the enemies. Let us follow you until death." Wu Junxin's eyes also turned red. Humans were not plants. How could they be emotionless? Although Wu Junxin had cultivated the habit of being indifferent, seeing this group of sincere people, how could he not be moved? He was silent for a long time. One by one he helped the kneeling people up and said, "I, Wu Junxin, am not worthy enough to make you so loyal. Good, since you have entrusted your lives to me, I, Wu Junxin, will not let you down. We swear to rise again and fight in the jianghu." The crowd was moved. Many people were so excited that they were trembling. Their eyes were shining with passion. Although some were injured, their bodies were filled with endless energy. If they were allowed to continue fighting, they would not hesitate to charge into the battlefield. "Then where are we going now?" Wu Junxin said, "We have our own place. Wu, come with me. I have something for you to do." The two walked to the side. Wu Junxin took out a package and handed it to her. "Wu, I want you to go to Ordinary Balance and give these things to Tang Zheng." "What is this?" Wu Junxin looked at it curiously. It was the battle spirit sword and 2 sun-shooting arrows. These were the weapons that fell into Wu Junxin's hands in the 10,000 huge mountains. This time it was time to return them to their rightful owners. "Sect leader, are you not going? Since we have left the martial organization, you and I will call each other master and disciple. Moreover, you are also my disciple." "Yes, master. I want to bring this group of people to a safe place. I don't have time to go to Ordinary Balance. Also, if I go to Ordinary Balance again it will be too obvious. It will be easier for Tang Zheng's identity to be exposed." Wu Junxin said worriedly. Wu hesitated for a moment and said, "Master, Tang Zheng and his grandfather have depended on each other for so many years, so he has a lot of resentment towards you and mistress." Wu Junxin revealed a lonely smile and said, "It's just a little resentment. What does it matter? This is human nature. No matter who it is, they will not be able to immediately turn around in this situation. If he sees Master being so open-minded, I'm afraid he will change his mind." Wu said thoughtfully. Wu Junxin shook his head. "His attitude is of no concern for the time being. The only thing we need to do is ensure that his identity is not exposed. If his identity is discovered by the Li Palace and the 2 elders, he will be in great danger." Wu nodded as if he understood. "Therefore, when you go to Ordinary Balance, you must persuade your mistress to leave immediately. At this time, only by staying far away from Tang Zheng will he be safer." Wu Junxin warned. "Will mistress listen to me?" Wu said worriedly. She understood her master's feelings very well. Seeing her meticulous attitude towards Tang Zheng, how could she bear to leave and endure the pain of separation? "Your mistress is deeply righteous. He will understand my good intentions. You can just say it. Yes, disciple understands. However, after your mistress leaves, you can stay by Tang Zheng's side. Your goal is much smaller than hers. Moreover, you have been with him for a long time, so others will not be too suspicious. When Wu heard this, he immediately objected, Master, at this time I can only play a greater role by your side. Moreover, you are in need of people right now. But before she could finish, Wu Junshan waved his hand and interrupted her. Wu Junshan looked at her seriously and said, Wu, you can only play a greater role by staying by Tang Zheng's side. Do you remember when Tang Zheng was unconscious in the 10,000 huge mountains? Martial heartstrings trembled. That was her first time, how could she forget? At that time, it was because of the eruption of pure yang energy that he became in that situation. His body is very special, and who knows when the pure yang energy will erupt, so you have to stay by his side and save his life at this time. Wu Junshan warned. A hint of shyness flashed across Wu's face, but he quickly covered it up and asked nervously, Do you really want to do this? Wu Junshan nodded. Marshal, perhaps this is not fair to you. Wu hurriedly shook his head. No, it was Master who adopted me and taught me martial arts, allowing me to have so many things. This is something I should do. Then I'll leave it to you. Master, you're exaggerating. Where can I find Master after Mistress leaves? When the time comes, I'll naturally contact her. You don't have to worry. You'll be the only one on this journey, so you have to be careful. Right now, the martial organization and the Li Palace are both our enemies. There's danger everywhere. In addition, I suspect that there's an even stronger person behind them. I don't know the origins of these people, but without a doubt, they're definitely not simple. Wu Junshan was a smart person. He had already thought of this point from the clues, so he didn't forget to warn her seriously. Wu was stunned for a moment. She never thought that there would be such a thing. Seeing her master so serious, she also nodded solemnly to show that she understood. However, she still had an unanswered question in her heart. Who exactly was that shadow? Was it among these people? She really wanted to ask, but when the words reached her mouth, she swallowed them back down. This was one of her master's most confidential matters. When it was time for her to know, her master would naturally tell her. Chapter 546. On New Year's Eve, the lanterns were lit, and the lights of thousands of families were incomparably brilliant. From time to time, fireworks would explode in the sky, blooming with gorgeous flowers. Fortunately, although Tang Zheng's house was 2 bedrooms, it was not small, so it did not seem crowded with so many people. The New Year's Eve dinner had already been finished, and the few of them sat together and chatted while watching the Spring Festival Gala. Nana was everyone's happy fruit. She held a few big red packets in her hands and her pink face was flushed red. It was especially festive and cute. Lan Yu's face was full of smiles. This was the happiest New Year's Eve she had ever had in so many years. Seeing her son's happy expression, her entire heart was about to melt. Mu Hongyan did not know the relationship between Tang Zheng and Lan Yu, but as a mother she had already guessed some clues from the way Lan Yu looked at Tang Zheng. She could not help but be curious. From Lan Yu's words and actions, it could be seen that her identity was definitely not ordinary. Tang Zheng had such a powerful background, why would he become an abandoned child? However, Mu Hongyan knew what was proper. If others did not say anything, she would not ask. As for the first year that she had not spent in the Long family, her feelings were especially fresh. Although the New Year's Eve in the Long family was even more extravagant, with all kinds of delicacies filling the table and many servants serving them, she did not feel the feeling of many years. Especially after her husband died, Long Tingyu pestered her endlessly. Every New Year's Eve was like torture to face him face to face. His gaze was as if he wanted to strip her bare, causing her to feel uncomfortable all over. This time, the atmosphere of this small family was what she looked forward to the most, and what she missed the most. She was born in a well-off family. However, her parents died in a car accident when she was an adult, and she became a lonely person. Every new year was like torture. She originally thought that it would be better after marriage, but she did not expect that the atmosphere of the big family would not interest her. At this moment, seeing her daughter's carefree and happy appearance, she felt that her life was truly complete. In the past, she would complain that the heavens were unfair to her, but now she did not complain, because the appearance of a person had completely changed her life. Looking at Tang Zheng's increasingly mature face, her thoughts became complicated. Suddenly, Linger pointed at the fireworks in the sky and said excitedly, "Master, look at the fireworks in the sky. It's so beautiful." "Those are called fireworks." "Fireworks? Can a cigarette turn into a flower?" Linger could not figure out the logic behind it. Tang Jing had an idea and said, "I'll take you downstairs to play. There's something for sale downstairs." When Nana heard this, she jumped off the sofa excitedly and hugged Tang Jing's leg. She said in a childish voice, "Big brother, Nana wants to set off fireworks too." "Ah, good, let's go down together. I'll bring them down to play for a while. Be careful and come back early," Tang Dahai urged. The few of them quickly went downstairs. There were many people playing downstairs, but fireworks were not allowed in the city, so most of the people were holding small toys. Tang Jing did not care about this problem. He bought dozens of fireworks, then hugged Nana and held Linger and said, "Let's go to the suburbs to set off fireworks." As soon as they finished speaking, they rushed out like a gust of wind. Under the cover of the night, the three of them passed through the streets and came to the suburbs. Then they set off fireworks to their heart's content. Ding-ling-ling. Suddenly his cell phone rang. Someone was calling. "Tang Jing, Happy New Year." Yi Dingdong's familiar voice came from the other end of the phone. "Happy New Year. Are you okay now?" Yi Dingdang asked. In this period of time, there were many rumors about Tang Jing, especially the conflict with the dragon group. How could it be hidden from these big families? The Ye family's reaction was not small. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang were both affected, because their relationship with Tang Jing was not shallow, so Yi Xuanji warned them not to contact Tang Jing, and not to have anything to do with him again. Yi Xuanji understood very well that the dragon group was extremely powerful and represented the government's will. Nothing good would come out of going against the dragon group. The official background of the Ye family was not strong to begin with. If they went against the dragon group, they would probably suffer a calamity. Yi Xuanji was not as rich and overbearing as Yen Padian, who dared not to sell face to the dragon group. In fact, Yi Xuanji had also heard that the dragon group and the Song and Chu families seemed to be in secret contact. How could Yi Xuanji not know what these two families were planning? If they were given an excuse at this time, they would definitely use the hands of the fake dragon group to deal with the Ye family. Ever since the Chu family's patriarch died at the hands of Tang Jing, the Chu family had obviously firmly attached themselves to the Song family. This way, the Song family's strength would catch up to the Yin family and completely surpass the Ye family, causing Yi Xuanji to feel endless pressure. Now that they had hooked up with the dragon group, it was like adding wings to a tiger. The Ye family's living space was even narrower. Yi Xuanji couldn't help but regret his tacit approval of the relationship between Tang Jing and Yi Dingdang. Although he had already firmly separated the relationship between the Ye family and Tang Jing, in the eyes of those who wanted to know, they were still inextricably linked. At this critical moment, of course, he couldn't cause trouble, so he strictly forced Yi Tianlei and his wife to cut off contact with Tang Jing. In addition, he was very clear about his granddaughter's thoughts, so he had been locking her at home these days and even took away her phone, making it impossible for her to contact Tang Jing. But everything can't go as one wishes. Feng Xinyang was too clear about his daughter's thoughts, so he took advantage of the New Year's Eve and secretly gave a phone to his daughter, letting her contact Tang Jing to relieve the pain of lovesickness. "I'm fine. What about you? You lied to me. So many things have happened to you, and you still dare to say that you're fine?" Yi Dingdong's little universe exploded. "Do you know how dangerous it is? When I heard about the things you did, my heart almost jumped out of my throat." Tang Jing was startled. Yi Dingdong's reaction was really beyond his expectations. Although she was sometimes unruly and a little violent, most of the time she was very calm. Why was she so abnormal this time? However, listening to her heartfelt words, a warm current flowed through Tang Jing's heart. The feeling of being cared for was really good. "Don't be angry. Haven't I already solved those things? It's easy to get old if you get angry. Don't be angry." Tang Jing hurriedly tried to persuade her. You think I'm old now, right?" Yi Dingdang coquettishly said. "I don't dare." "You said you don't dare not know? That is to say, that's what you think in your heart, right?" Yi Dingdong's voice rose a bit as if she was about to flip out. Tang Jing was endlessly depressed. Why does this woman have the potential to be a detective? She's so good at biting words. Of course, as a person who has already touched the threshold of a relationship, he did not hesitate to answer, "Of course not. In my heart, you will always be 18 years old. It's just like when I first saw you when I first walked into the classroom." That's more like it. I'll consider you a pass." Tang Jing let out a sigh of relief. When talking to a woman, there could be traps everywhere. It was dangerous and dangerous. It was even more careful than when fighting. "You've caused such a big disturbance. My family already forbade me from contacting you. I'm secretly calling you," Yi Dingdang said, feeling wronged. This wasn't out of his expectations. With Yi Xuanji's style, this was within his expectations. Then I'll have to trouble you. Of course it's hard. It's such a cold day and I'm hiding outside to call you. My hands are almost frozen. What if they don't let me see you when school starts? Yi Dingdang asked worriedly. Tang Jing said unconcernedly, at that time they couldn't have been watching you all the time, right? We had plenty of chances. Moreover, even if someone was watching, I would have knocked him out. I definitely can't be merciful to this kind of bad guy. When Yi Dingdang heard this, she burst out laughing. After a while, she said, let me tell you something. I heard that the dragon group is colluding with the Song and Chu families. It's definitely not a good thing, so you must be careful. Tang Zheng was awestruck. He sneered in his heart, these two families are really haunting me. Fine, tomorrow is the first day of the new year, and there's a new atmosphere for the new year. Then I'll take your Song family's ordinary balance villa as an example and give you a big New Year's gift. Did you hear what I said? Yi Dingdang hurriedly asked when she saw that he was silent. Oh, I heard. You can rest assured that I will give the Song family a big gift. It will definitely be a big surprise. Tang Jing said with an evil smile. Yi Dingdang excitedly asked, what big gift? You'll know when the time comes. Yi Dingdang still wanted to ask, but she saw that someone had come. Thus, she hurriedly said a few words and then hurriedly hung up the phone. Linger and Nana were having a lot of fun. In the end, they finished setting off all the fireworks they bought. He then took the two back the way they came. Nana excitedly giggled. When they got home, the little girl eagerly asked, Brother, can Nana learn martial arts? In the future, Nana can walk as fast as you. Then Nana can often set off fireworks by herself. Tang Jing was moved. He had promised Mu Hongyan to teach Nana the cultivation method for a long time, but he never had the time to put it into practice. Moreover, he never found a suitable cultivation method. Why don't you practice the cloud water technique or the divine dragon technique? The cloud water technique was practiced by Fang Shishir, and the divine dragon technique was practiced by Lu Qingmei. Perhaps he subconsciously didn't want someone close to him to practice the same cultivation method. Moreover, Nana was still young and had enough time to practice a set of cultivation methods. He wanted to find a cultivation method that was more suitable for her. He suddenly had an idea. Now, these cultivation methods were all pieced together by me. If there was a complete set of cultivation methods from a certain sect, it would definitely be very beneficial for them. However, when these things were expelled with the cultivators, he didn't know where they fell. It was also possible that most of them were taken away. How could it be so easy to find them? Chapter 547. Tang Jing looked at Gui Qiansui in surprise and asked, Do you know where it is? Langya Pavilion. There are many cultivation methods collected by the Dragon Clan from all over the world. After the Dragon Clan left, no one cared about Langya Pavilion. Gui Qiansui said. Langya Pavilion? Tang Jing heard the name for the first time and it was related to the Dragon Clan. He was very curious. How do you know about it? My ancestor was an important minister of the Dragon Clan. He served the Dragon Clan for thousands of years. Naturally, he knew about it. When I was young, I heard about it from the elders. Gui Qiansui said proudly. Tang Jing was surprised. He did not expect this old turtle to be a descendant of a famous family. Then where is Langya Pavilion? Gui Qiansui lowered his head and said, I am ashamed. This is an important place of the Dragon Clan. Ordinary people do not know about it. Is it in the Dragon Palace? Gui Qiansui shook his head firmly, absolutely not. I have lived in the Dragon Palace for so many years. If Langya Pavilion was in the Dragon Palace, it would have been discovered long ago. In fact, although we demon beasts have a long lifespan, if we don't practice the cultivation method, it will only increase our lifespan. It will not help us at all. It is said that there are thousands of cultivation methods in Langya Pavilion. Almost everyone can find the cultivation method that suits them. Gui Qiansui's tone was quite excited. Obviously, he was very eager to find Langya Pavilion. The Dragon Clan has left. Is Langya Pavilion still in this world? Tang Jing asked suspiciously. Gui Qiansui nodded. Definitely, because Langya Pavilion is a paradise in this world. It can't leave with the Dragon Clan. Suddenly, Tang Jing's heart was eager. If he could find Langya Pavilion, it would solve his urgent need. Everyone around him could find suitable cultivation methods to practice. It was simply the rhythm of establishing a sect. Unfortunately, only the Dragon Clan knows the location of Langya Pavilion. There is no Dragon Clan in this world. It is like looking for a needle in a haystack. Gui Qiansui said regretfully. Tang Jing's mouth gradually curled up. Who said there was no Dragon Clan in this world? Wasn't the five-clawed golden dragon under the Palace Dragon Clan? It was just that no one else knew of its existence. He could not wait to return to the capital city and ask the five-clawed golden dragon. On the first day of the new year, there was a new atmosphere for the new year. Tang Zheng took his grandfather and Linger to tour the city for most of the day. They went to the temple fair and enjoyed the lanterns. His grandfather was grinning from ear to ear. In the evening, after sending the two home, Tang Zheng secretly met up with Lin Hu and Fire Phoenix. Unexpectedly, Feng Yong also came to join in on the fun. This kid was bored at home during the new year, so he came to find Tang Zheng to play. At that time, it was Feng Yong who had brought Tang Zheng to the ordinary balance courtyard. Since this brat had nothing to do, then he would bring him to the ordinary balance courtyard to broaden his horizons. When Feng Yong heard that they were going to the ordinary balance courtyard, his eyes lit up. He groped his body for a while and said excitedly, "Boss, this is my bank card. In the past 6 months I have saved a lot of money. Boss, you can show your invincible might again. Show off your god of gamblers style and win everything they have." Tang Zheng was moved and said cheerfully, "Okay, this time I won't just win a few million. I really want to win everything they have and win back the entire courtyard." Feng Yong asked incredulously, "Really?" "Of course." Tang Zheng nodded solemnly. Feng Yong looked at Tang Zheng for a few seconds and cheered. He was not afraid but excited. It seemed that after following Tang Zheng for so long, his character had gradually become fearless. The few of them drove and before long, they arrived at the ordinary balance courtyard. There were already many luxury cars parked in the parking lot. It seemed that today many of the rich people of the ordinary balance courtyard were gathered here. The ordinary balance courtyard was not a place that just anyone could enter. Fortunately, Feng Yong's father was there. His father often came to the ordinary balance courtyard to relax or discuss business. He was a frequent visitor. Therefore, under the guidance of the guards, they were able to smoothly sneak in. The ordinary balance courtyard had a group of guards. These people were courageous and powerful. Moreover, they had received special training from the Song family. Among them there was no lack of martial artists. However, these martial artists could frighten ordinary people, but in the eyes of Tang Zheng, they were like 3-year-old children, unable to withstand a single blow. Feng Yong dragged Tang Zheng straight to the casino. The hall was brightly lit and many people had already gathered. All kinds of gambling tables were filled with people. Some people who had won money were laughing wildly, while others who had lost money were cursing in a low voice. "Boss, this time let's learn from the movies and play 5-card stud. How about it? This is exciting enough," Feng Yong excitedly suggested. "Up to you. Anything is fine." Tang Zheng did not mind. Feng Yong received the order and immediately pushed a person off the gambling table. He shouted, make way, the god of gambling has arrived. Ordinary people, go play to the side." Immediately, the people at the table uniformly turned their heads to look at the 4 people. Especially Feng Yong's unbridled and arrogant appearance, which made many people frown. Tang Zheng did not stop him. He was happy to let him show off his power. Today they were here to cause trouble. What do you mean by, cause trouble? Of course they were here to cause trouble. Tang Zheng could not help but like this kind of unbridled feeling. It was really King cool. Heng, a few brats also dare to play 5-card stud. Don't lose so much that you don't even have your underwear left. It's better if you obediently go back and drink your milk. A Baldy unhappily ridiculed. Feng Yong raised his head and fearlessly stared at the other party and said, "Then let's see who will lose their underwear." Finished speaking, he placed his chips on the gambling table. 500,000. This was all of Feng Yong's wealth. Lin Hu and Fire Phoenix were like 2 bodyguards. They stood behind the 2 of them without saying a word. They knew what Tang Zheng wanted to do. Regarding his decision, they raised both hands in approval. Taking down the ordinary balance courtyard in one fell swoop was a good start. This was something they were happy to see. "Boss, come sit. Let them see what is called the god of gambling," Feng Yong said as he pushed Tang Zheng to the seat. The other people looked at Tang Zheng with eyes full of disdain. They clearly did not recognize him as the god of gambling. The dealer also glanced at Tang Zheng but did not take him seriously. He thought he was some prodigal son of a rich family. He sneered in his heart. The casino welcomed this kind of spendthrift. 5-card stud was 5 cards given to each person. One of the cards was the bottom card. Only they could see the other 4 cards. Whoever had the biggest card in the end would be the winner. The dealer dealt the cards. Everyone had a bottom card. Then the second round of cards was dealt. Tang Zheng's face card was a 10 of clubs. The Baldy received an ace of spades. The bigger card would speak. The Baldy directly bet 100,000. He disdainfully smiled at Tang Zheng and said, Brat, the ace is 10 times bigger than yours. Do you dare to follow? Tang Jing smiled but did not say anything. He gave Feng Yong a meaningful glance. Feng Yong understood tacitly and happily said, "What do you mean I don't dare to follow?" 100,000 follow. The others also followed. For the third card, Tang Jing received a 6 of clubs. The Baldy received an ace of hearts. 1 red and 1 black. The 2 aces were particularly eye-catching. Haha, looks like I'm really lucky on the first day of the new year. A pair of aces. If I don't raise now, when will I? 200,000. The Baldy laughed and pushed the chips in front of him for another 200,000. Some people carefully looked at their bottom cards. Some people folded. There were only 4 people left at the table. Tang Jing had a 10 and a 6, but he still did not fold. He firmly followed with a bet of 200,000. Many people shook their heads. They thought to themselves that this was definitely a prodigal son. If he followed with such bad cards, wouldn't he be giving money to others? From the beginning to the end, Tang Jing did not look at his bottom cards. It was as if he was really a fool who came to give money away. The dealer dealt the 4th card. The Baldy received a king of clubs, while Tang Jing received an 8 of clubs. His cards were 10, 6 and 8 of clubs. The others' cards were bigger than his. Some had a pair while the Baldy had a pair of aces and a king. He was in the lead. The Baldy's eyes lit up and he laughed. The heavens are really helping me. Kid, do you still dare to follow? Why not? Okay, you have guts. 500,000. You don't have that many chips in front of you, right? The Baldy said disdainfully. Tang Jing did not mind. He gave Lin Hu a look. He immediately went to exchange chips and came back with 10 million in chips. Immediately, those who did not think highly of Tang Jing shook their heads. This was not an ordinary prodigal son, but a fighter jet among prodigals. Feng Yong saw that he played big and whispered, "Boss, there are so many chips. Let's look at our bottom cards." Tang Jing shook his head and said, "I know what to do." Feng Yong's eyes lit up. He also knew what to do. He looked at the Baldy with a mocking expression and said, "My boss is the god of gambling. What is there to be afraid of? I'll follow." Haha, ignorant kid. Today this grandpa will teach you a lesson. Deal the cards. The Baldy urged. The others also folded their cards. In the end, only Tang Jing and the Baldy were left at the table. The dealer dealt the cards. The Baldy received a king. The cards were double aces and double kings. These were 2 big pairs and could not be considered small. On the other hand, Tang Jing received an 8 of clubs. The cards were 6, 7, 8 and 10 of clubs. It still looked small unless his bottom card was a 9 of clubs. However, he did not even look at his bottom card. No one believed that his luck would be so heaven-defying that he would be able to get a 9 of clubs. The Baldy's big flat face was about to turn into a chrysanthemum. His eyes were wide open as he looked at Tang Jing and said, "I'll bet another 1,000,000. Do you dare follow?" Tang Jing pushed his hands forward. All the chips were pushed to the center of the table. He said without fear, 5-card stud. "Do you dare?" The Baldy was startled. He looked at Tang Jing's bottom card in bewilderment. It was as if he wanted to see through the cards and see through them. Seeing that Tang Jing was so confident, the others were also bewildered. Could it be that he really had a 9 of clubs? Otherwise, even a fool would know that he would lose this round. But didn't he not look at his bottom card? The Baldy's face gradually turned red and said, "Why wouldn't I dare? 5-card stud. I have 3 aces and a pair of kings. Let's see how you can beat me." "Ah, why are you so confident? You really don't know life from death." Tang Jing shook his head. He gently grabbed his bottom card and threw it on the table. It was a 9 of clubs, a straight flush. Wow. Suddenly the crowd cried out in surprise. The Baldy's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. Feng Yong excitedly shouted, "I told you my boss is the god of gambling. Humph, you didn't believe me. Now you see how powerful he is."